Hello, how are we today? So today I would like to play with this image. This is the Snow Queen, but to me she's also giving real Glinda vibes with that gorgeous puffy dress. I'm feeling inspired, having gone to see the film. I'm definitely feeling inspired by the wonderful world of Oz. So without further ado, shall we just get started and see what we managed to create? Prior to sitting down to create this page, I had already coloured out this image using lots of pink colour tones. I did it using my Prismacolor pencils. We haven't filmed that because basically I was sat on the sofa colouring. I was doing a little colouring session with my daughter Kezia, and we had a lovely little time doing that together. So that was all ready to go. Then when I sat in the studio, I pulled out a whole load of circle objects. Basically, I want to create the opening scene of Wicked where she comes down and in her bubble. And that is kind of the look I was going for. So once I had added all the circles to the page, I turned them into bubbles by pulling out my watercolours. So I am using the Kuretake Ganzi Tambis, and I am using a very pale pink and a lilac to kind of bring these to life. I also added a little touch of green just to be able to add that sort of classic Wicked colour combo in there. I think as soon as you put those two colours together, the association already goes to that particular film, play, whatever. So I'm building up the bubbles. I'm sort of adding colour, adding water, just sort of keeping alternating between the two until I get a nice soft look, but also we can see colour, but it also looks iridescent. I've added a few extra splashes and sprayed that with water to just kind of soften the overall effect. Then I decided it would be cool if we added in the Emerald City. So I drew out a whole load of, it's basically just rectangles and triangles. So don't be scared of trying this if you want to, because it's really not that difficult. You don't need to be a particularly amazing artist. I mean, I'm not, but you might think I do art. I do, but if you can draw, write your name, sorry, you can draw these because, you know, as I said, we're talking triangles and rectangles. Then I block all of this out in green. Now, I absolutely love this film and I'm feeling particularly inspired by it. I love anything that is sort of a world of whimsy. I like it when people sort of take things that we're familiar with and kind of just adapt it slightly so it's still recognisable as buildings and animals and things, but there's just a little twist put onto it that makes it sort of very whimsical. Yeah, I absolutely love this. And I also think that this is a testimony to the sentiment that says creativity is contagious, pass it on. Because if you think about it, first came the book, and then people read the book, and a screenplay was written and songs were written. We had the musical in Broadway, then it was turned into a film, but then you have like the costume designers feeling inspired by the story and doing their thing. We have the artists inspired and putting their take on it. I'm just going to pause my little waffle for the minute just to say I did decide to put Glinda in there and then realised that she was too big. The whole picture was just thrown off. So I decided just to put that aside for the minute, stick with the direction that this particular project was going in, and let's just make this the Emerald City and go with the flow. So I decided to frame what I've done by putting in two huge trees. So yeah, as I was saying, there are so many artists right now that are really inspired. There's a lot of fan art going on. I can't draw realism, so I've not sort of done anything that is particularly representative of the characters as they are there, but I'm still feeling inspired by it. And as I said, it is okay to be inspired. It's not necessarily that it's a trend or a fad. It's just that this is what is in my head at the moment. This is what's making me feel like wanting to create. And that is the thing about inspiration. It comes from all sorts of places. It comes from like walking in nature. It comes from conversations with friends. It comes from books that you read, films that you watch. But everybody has their own take. Everybody sort of sees things differently, and it's absolutely okay to be inspired by one another. A lot of the artists and crafters that are here on YouTube do that with this purpose in order to inspire other people. And so I just think it is an amazing case of showing the importance of sharing art and that it's okay to be inspired by whatever you're inspired by. I decided to I wanted to give these trees a much softer, more whimsical look, so I'm spraying the edges of where that foliage is just to make it really soft and wispy right at the end. And then I am sort of building up the layers on the trees. So we're going to increase the density of the foliage there to make it look more like trees, and we're going to keep layering that up. Now obviously this is the Emerald City, so we are needing a yellow brick road. I'm using my Artex paint markers, loving paint markers right now. I think they are my new favourite thing, especially when it comes to journaling and mixed media, because they literally go over absolutely anything, and if you make a mistake or aren't happy, you can just draw over it with another paint marker and it completely covers it. So I'm using this to add a little detail, add some depth and dimension. So we've got lots of different greens at the front and we're really building that up. Now to give the city a little bit more definition, I'm going in with my Prisma pencils here and just sort of filling in the shadow areas. So again, this is really simple. It's just the lines between the rectangles and the triangles. Adding a little bit of shadow in there just sort of makes them look more like buildings than sort of a shape. And I'm really loving how this is coming together. I'm loving how whimsical it looks. The fact that, you know, we have bubbles in the sky as opposed to just a blue sky. We've got our green city and then these very wispy trees that are just framing it. Again, building up the details with pencils. And this is all just, I was just playing. I was in the moment. I was enjoying myself. I have to say, I feel like my creativity has been knocked recently, just with lots of different things that have occurred in life. Don't have the same time frame now that I'm homeschooling my daughter. The fact that Create and Craft has closed and the business needs to take a different direction, and I haven't quite worked out what that direction is. And all of these sort of pressures in life can sometimes just impact on creativity. And so this was me just creating with no pressure. I wasn't creating for a reason. It wasn't for a purpose of designing something for you know, work. It was just me enjoying the time, and I didn't know what I was doing with regards to the overall look. I was just playing and allowing the project to take me in the direction that it wanted to be taken in. I know that sounds very airy-fairy, but I just quite often find that one decision leads to another decision. Sometimes you do something that you don't like and you cover it up, and sometimes you love it and you kind of keep leaning into that direction. And that is very much what this page was. I hadn't intended this. This was not what I had planned to do when I turned up to the page. What I planned to do was to have a big bubble with Glinda in it. And it turned into this really whimsical scene of the Emerald City, and I absolutely love it. So I added in doodling with my black fine liner. That's just helped to give all of those buildings a little bit of definition. Again, nothing difficult. We're just talking a little bit of cross hatching and some squares for windows. And then I'm just drawing in some squiggly lines with a white gel pen just over some of that foliage. And again, having that, the black fine liner and the white doodling just really adds depth. I wanted to distinguish the fact that this was Oz, so I used my stencil for the circle because I wasn't sure how well I would manage one freehand. Just did that in gold and then drew a Z as well and outlined it in black. And here we go. Here is the wonderful world of Oz in art journal form. Now, I still want to create my Glinda page because that is what made me want to do it. So we are going to do another page. This time, instead of drawing the circles, I'm just painting directly onto, this is actually my Scentsy holder, that's what I was painting on, because although you can't see it in the video, you could really see the fact that I did have pencil lines in that last page, and it did bother me somewhat. So this time I'm just painting directly in order to create my bubbles using the exact same techniques as last time, just adding a little bit of colour to the edge and building it up with water and colour, and then using the splatters as well and spraying it with water just to soften it all. Now this time it softened a bit too much. We completely lost the bubbles. So the Artex markers come to the rescue yet again. Honestly, I love these things. I can't tell you how many projects they end up in. And I'm just using these paint markers because we still have the nice soft colours to give that sort of glow of the bubbles. And also it just means all the bubbles surrounding that main one as well, I can just add a bit of definition by adding a little white line in as well. So there we go. We have her. I finally have Glinda in her bubble. this is the direction that we wanted to go in. I love working on this paper. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a journal from Art Inspirations, which is Leonie's brand, and it's got gorgeous handmade paper. So I still wanted it to look like it was in Oz, but I realised that she needed to be the feature. Last time I got too carried away with the Emerald City. So I just sort of painted in that yellow road for the yellow brick road and added a little bit of grass so it does actually look like a road. Now I'm sort of adding sparkles with gel pen in white and silver, just to sort of give it that really magical look. And I wanted to bring the pink down as well because it was just looking a bit top heavy with regard to colours. So we've brought that down to the bottom as well by creating a little bit of a floral look. I absolutely loved it at this stage, but still felt it was missing something. So I decided to get a really soft blue and just put a wash across the white space basically, to make it look like sky. And I think once I did that, I was actually really happy with the overall page. So just added a few little extra splatters, gave that a spray because I'm obsessed with that technique. And that is this particular page all done. So here are both my pages inspired by Oz and Wicked. Where do you get your inspiration from? I would absolutely love to know. If you've enjoyed this, you might enjoy this video here where we tackle some more art journal pages.